Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Nerd of the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host, Master of Ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the Cat. Cat, how are you doing?
I am surviving, because I'm a survivor. No.
You know, ordinarily this would be the point where I would crack a joke, but I think we're all kind of just surviving at this point.
It's really, it's a, oh, boy, you guys, it's a time.
It is. And Mike, how are you doing this week?
You know what? You say quarantine, I say this is Tuesday. I'm used to it. I'm surviving, but I'm more or less doing all right. It's no different than any other day, though I haven't seen the sun in over a month, so that's something.
Did you guys finally get rid of the snow? Did you still have snow?
No. From what I can see in the reflection off a wall, it looks nice outside.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I should maybe get outside this week, get into my wheelchair. So hopefully, if it's a nice warm day this week, I'll get outside for a couple minutes, do a couple laps around the parking lot, then probably come inside because everything is closed, as well it should be.
Over here in Maryland, we actually didn't get any snow at all this winter. I was shocked. Like, we normally, like, about the February, early February to late March we're just like covered in snow and ice. One year we actually had snow all the way through April, but this year we didn't get like a single snowflake. So it's like, on the one hand, which was kind of tragic, because on the one hand, yay, no ice for me to slip and kill myself on. On the other hand, shitload of rain. Like, there have been times in the last couple months where I was scared that the Magathi River, which I live right on, was going to flood because we were just getting so much fucking rain.
Oh god, we're always in a flood stage. Like, for like the last year, we've been in flood warnings.
You just live in a giant bowl.
Yeah. There's floodplains. I live in floodplains. I don't live in a floodplain, but like everything else around me is floodplains.
So, but I've actually enjoyed not getting snow. I still get flashbacks to the one year that I was that we got. I think it was like 2009 or something. We got Snowmageddon, and I could have, if I was wearing proper snowshoes, I could have walked from the front step of the house I was living at the time out over to the driveway, which was on incline, and wound up without changing elevations, be standing like 3 feet above where my car was buried in the snow.
See, you should have just been born an elf from Lord of the Rings, and they could just, like, walk on snow and stuff. Why weren't you born an elf? Jeez.
So, but, we are all surviving, and that is actually the discussion of, the topic of our discussion this week is, how are we keeping sane in quarantine? This is probably the most topical we are ever going to get. But, it's just, this is something that has really impacted everyone's lives in just about every conceivable way. So we thought it'd be kind of an interesting discussion to talk about, what are we doing to keep our sanity in this in these trying times. Spoiler alert, we're not.
We're not.
we have all gone crazy in some form or another. So even though we're all here, we're not all there. So yeah. But of course, there's procedure to follow. So we're going to begin, as always, with Ask a Geek. And Kat, I got one here that I've been looking forward to asking you. This one comes from Lisa, she asks, what are your thoughts on the casting choices for the upcoming Dune movie?
Okay, I have a lot of feelings, because they recently released a bunch of photos from the set, so, like, we got to see characters in costume and, like, action shots and stuff, and I am super, super excited. I know, Gonzo, you know nothing about Dune, right?
I have only ever read the Butlerian Jihad, which, to quote Penny Arcade, was watching Kevin J. Anderson and Frank Herbert's son fuck his corpse.
Birdman, do you know anything about Dune?
I know sandworms and spice are things.
Yes. Okay, so nobody knows anything about Dune except for me. I bet if Skyblaze were here, they would have a lot of information. I feel like they know what they're talking about for Dune. I don't know why, but I feel like Skyblaze knows things. Okay, so just a really quick thing about the story of Dune. It's kind of like a big allegory for oil in the Middle East, is the simplest way I can explain it. It's two families in being politically maneuvered to fight over a planet that produces something called spice, which is charitably a time and space bending narcotic. And it's the most important substance in the entire world. It makes everything work. Sorry, in the entire world, in the entire universe. And there's a series of good guys and bad guys who end up trying to take control of the planet, and then a bunch of like local people who are actually native to the planet, who are basically like freedom fighters. And it's a really interesting story. And by interesting, I mean like if you know it and love it, it's really interesting. Otherwise, it's actually very boring. But it's sort of an icon of science fiction. And so there's never been a good adaptation. I will hold to, there has never been a good adaptation. The 1984, I think, was in the David Lynch film came out, was nothing like the book really at all. And the television series that they've made, like the sci-fi series, were not really that good. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this film. Now, as for the cast, I know nothing about Timothée Chalamet at all. So I have no opinion on who they have cast as Paul. What I am excited about is Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto, because that is like amazing casting right there. He actually makes me think visibly of the actor who played him in the 84 film. Because like if I don't have this guy with like gorgeous wavy hair, it's not Duke Leto to me. And they just got the right guy with the right hair, and it's just gonna be perfect, and I'm so excited to see him. Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck is gonna be really good, I think, because he's just such a grim character, and Josh Brolin does grim really well. It will be sad because that role in the 84 film, which I love, it's not a true film, like true to the book, but I love the film. That role was Sir Patrick Stewart. And it will just be so tragic not to see Patrick Stewart in that role. But I think Josh Brolin is just going to do really good. The role that surprised me of the casting was Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. And it's not surprising in that, they cast Jason Momoa. It's that they cast Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. Because, like, this is not a character who has as much of a major... He's not as big in Dune as he is in the sequels of the Dune books. He's not around too much, if I recall correctly. So I hope they don't waste it. You know, getting a big ass actor like Jason Momoa in, and it would just be like terrible if he only had like if he was only in like a half an hour of the film or something. It'd just be such a waste. So like the big thing is going to be Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron Harkonnen. This is really, really interesting to me because the Baron Harkonnen is full of very, very problematic villain tropes. And one of the interviews, I think it was the Vanity interview, where they said that that they talked about like there are problematic tropes with the previous portrayals, including the book. The way the Baron is written is very tropey and again very problematic. And they wanted to bring in Stellan Skarsgård to bring something unique to the character, and I really hope that they do because he's an amazing actor. I will be interested to see what they do with him because Stellan Skarsgård is a normal human being, and the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen is like horrible and really huge, like really, really fat. And I just hope it's not like Stellan Skarsgård in a bad fat suit. It would be tragic, but we'll see what they end up doing. The other thing that has been really killing me with the casting is that they have not announced who will be playing the character Feyd-Rautha, who is the Baron's other nephew, the Baron's nephew, Dave Bautista as Raban. That's going to be really great. But yeah, so one of the nephews is already cast, but not Feyd. And this role in the original film was played by Sting. If you've never seen it, just know that Sting was like mostly naked in a scene. And that's why women watched Dune. So that's not true. But it was like a thing that stuck in everyone's mind was Sting mostly naked and knife fighting. So the fact that they haven't announced a casting yet, there have been rumors, and the rumors were quashed, and nobody really knows what's happening with that role. And it would... So, like, the longer they delay announcing who's playing Fade, the more, like, my conspiracy theories go on. Like, maybe they had somebody for the role, but they had to fire him, or something along those lines. Because if they've already cast Raban, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so supposedly they're splitting the film into two, which would be great because you cannot make Dune as one film. It doesn't work. We've already done it. We know it doesn't work. So if Raban was going to be in the first film and then Fade in the second film, that would maybe make sense as to why they're doing it. But it doesn't make sense that they'd announce Raban and not Fade to me. So I just think that it's weird that that's like the big character that they haven't announced. And anyway, everybody that they have lined up, like Javier Bardem and everything looks amazing so far. I'm really excited, you guys. I'm sorry I'm taking so long talking about this, but I really did love the original film, hated the sci-fi miniseries, and I'm really, really excited to see what they do with this film and the casting of it. Zendaya as Chani. That's amazing casting right there. I can't wait because Zendaya's a badass and she's going to be playing a badass and it's going to be really, really fun to watch, I think. I think everything that they've announced so far has just been some amazing casting for a film that is going to be very, very difficult to make because you have to put the actors through hell because they are literally acting in a desert where it's like 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's misery. And you have to have the right cast who can deal with it. And I think they've really picked out a lot of stellar actors for it. So I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited to see what they do.
Alrighty.
Scene.
Alrighty. Let's see. We can see if we got time for one more here. Let's see. Okay. Here's a question. It's addressed to me, but I'm going to open up to you, Mike, as well. And this one comes from Eric, and he asked, "What do we think of the Final Fantasy VII remake so far?"
Well, it's funny you mention this because literally tonight, or at least this week anyway, I'm starting my playthrough of Final Fantasy VII. I've read all the spoilers. I've watched multiple videos, and I just finished watching the completionist video on it. So I've got some thoughts on it. I do think their approach is really fascinating, and I'm actually kind of excited that they are taking this new direction with it. Now, full disclosure, I'm going to play the game on stupid easy because I just want to see the storyline. And I'm excited to see Aerith again because she's always been one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters of all time. I love the look of her character. I've named a cat after her. In fact, some of my cats have actually been named after Square Enix characters. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I bought it on PlayStation digital, so I didn't have to worry about the whole shipping debacle that Square Enix had to deal with. So I'm excited for it. It should be fun.
Okay. Well, I've started playing through it, and I'm just at the entered the wall market segment of the game. I'm enjoying it so far for the most part. There are some things that I feel like need a lot of work. First off, visually, the game is really inconsistent. Character models for the main characters are really great, and when the game's in cinematic mode, the environments look really great. But then when you're back in the gameplay mode, holy crap! Some of these textures. I'm hoping that it's a case of the game is just glitched, because just about everything in some areas looks like it's still in mid pop-in mode. And at first I thought it was just they just use low res textures to save on memory, until I noticed a texture that looked really blurry before was suddenly like crystal clear and really detailed. So it's like, no, there's definitely some glitching going on there, so that needs to be fixed. I'm playing on normal mode, and the combat difficulty is really inconsistent, I feel, so far. The game will go from, really easy to hair-pullingly difficult, particularly in the boss fights. So I kind of feel like there's some balancing issues that need to be worked out. But other than that, I'm interested to see where they go with this story and how they're presenting it. Love all the character performance so far. Although, Jesus Christ, Jesse, slow the fuck down. But no, I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it. The one worry that I have with it is the same worry that I had when they first announced this project, and that's how many games is it going to take for them to tell the full story. So, my worry is that, we'll get to maybe like part 2 or 3, and Square Enix will decide that it's just not financially viable to keep going, and we'll just stop the whole thing. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
I think this is a franchise that has printed money for this long. It'll keep going. As long as there's a very vocal fandom that is willing to throw hundreds of dollars at it, they'll make it.
Mother 3 says otherwise, but that's a discussion for another table. But yeah, so I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes. And let's see, do we have enough time for another quick one? Not really. Thanks, Kat, for taking all our time.
You're welcome for providing content.
I kid. But anyway, that's all the Ask Geek questions that we have time for this week. Thank you as always for sending them in. As always, you can send them to us through the email at drgonzo@nerdofthethirdpower.com. We love getting your questions, love reading them on the air. So yeah, go ahead and get your questions in, and you just might get it read on the show. And so with that, we're going to just jump right into the meat and potatoes of this discussion. And unless you've been living under a rock, in which case, A, welcome. B, you should have stayed under there. We're trying to flatten a curve, God damn it. Everyone's under quarantine, and everyone's going a little bit stir crazy. So cabin fever is definitely affecting me. So even though as we'll get into, my general living situation hasn't really changed all that much. But we thought it'd be kind of an interesting discussion to talk about, how we're keeping sane and how we've seen other people try and keep sane over the course of this. And just before we get started, just a reminder, we're just talking about ourselves and how we're maintaining our sanity. So we're not discussing like government responses or protests or none of that wildness. We're just we're keeping it light and fun here. So Kat, let's start with you. How are you keeping yourself from losing your mind in this whole lockdown?
Well, the nice thing is I actually lost my mind really early in the lockdown. So I've talked about this previously and all over social media, but I run an anime convention, and everything in 2020 is canceled. So my crew and I had basically like several weeks of talking all day, all night about what would happen if we had to cancel. And we were sending out these really heartbreaking emails about here's what we're doing to keep the convention secure, and here's what we're going to do in the event of postponement, blah blah blah. And then within an hour, what we had just sent out would be made irrelevant. And we finally had to send out the emails going, okay, we have to cancel. And we put it up on social media, and me and the other GR director just cried for a day, because it's literally a year's worth of our work and our passion and our blood, sweat, and tears just thrown out the window. And it was really, really, really hard to deal with. So I got that out of the way nice and early, had just a misery time. And after that, it was it started to pick up again. But also in the middle of being on lockdown, we had a death in the family. So then it was utter fucking misery all over again. But kind of after that, things have gotten better. So my strategy for keeping sane in this very trying time is stress cleaning and stress baking, which I can't do any more stress baking because I've run out of ingredients and the stores are all sold out. So I've made a lot of food, a lot of several things of cookies and banana bread and cornbread, and basically if it's got carbs, I have attempted to make it over the last month. I'm also working from home, so I'm staying busy during the day, but I'm probably spending a little too much of my free time looking at social media and making myself crazy. So I haven't been doing all of the healthy things where you get off of social media for a couple of days and you go out and walk in a park and stuff like that, because I've also been sick for most of the last month trying to get over a sinus and respiratory infection. So I've been mostly physically and mentally tapped out, but I got it over with early and then have sort of picked up since. The other thing that's been really helping, besides, again, cleaning and baking, is that we decided we were going to do Anime St. Louis online, and we've been working on an online event. And I'm not going to lie, friends, like, I was really trudging at first. Like, I didn't really want to do it because I was just too depressed. But just over the last couple of weeks, things have really picked up, and it's actually looking like it's going to turn out to be a pretty good event. And I actually understand how Discord works now, because we've been recording via Discord for like 2 years or something, and
2 or
I still
3.
don't understand how it works. But just in like the last 2 weeks, I have learned all of these ins and outs of Discord that I have never utilized. That I'm suddenly like, oh, we can do that. Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's neat. So it's been an interesting time. It's been like the biggest roller coaster of emotions that, like, I know I haven't fully processed everything correctly because, like I said, we had a death in the family and we can't go to a funeral. This is really deep here, guys, but like, I'm not getting the proper processes for mourning because I haven't been able to see my family or hug it out and cry it out with family members like you should. We can't have a funeral. It's such a strange thing. Like, it doesn't feel quite real all the time. Sometimes it feels real, and then sometimes it doesn't. And so, like, at any given time, I'm sort of like I'll go through these waves of sadness, and then I'm fine. And then I'm fine because I'm not processing grief correctly because I'm so overwhelmed by grief for everything that's going on. But my day-to-day sanity that just gets me through every day has actually been a podcast I've started listening to, which is called Hardy Dice Friends, and it is by Grant Howitt and Christopher Taylor, who are game designers. They're RPG designers, and I've played a couple of their games, and they're really fun, and I really hope someday, like, our group can play them. I think it would be really great. But they started a podcast back in like 2017, so I have like 3 years of content to catch up on, and it's really funny. And just listening to these two guys talk about which creatures out of the monster manual they would date is just it's just such silly nonsense that is kind of just, it's what I need right now. Like, I have my horror podcasts and I have some other stuff that I enjoy listening to, and I know I could be catching up on TV shows on Netflix, but really is two guys talking about dragons they date is really what's keeping me level right now.
All right. So, that got kind of heavy there for a bit.
Sorry, it's what I've been dealing with. It's been a time, you guys.
No, I mean, I get it. My thing is, like, the real ironic thing about how this has been affecting me is, like, you know, as I'm sure I mentioned in the show, I don't like dealing with people on a good day. So I'm normally, like, perfectly happy to stay home and just, you know, play video games and not go out unless I really need to. But I started, you know, when this whole lockdown thing started, after like a few weeks or so, I started having like panic attacks, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I called my therapist, and had a couple sessions, and she thinks that I'm developing a form of claustrophobia, which, for those who don't know, that's a fear of confinement. It's similar to claustrophobia, except instead of being afraid of the size of the space, it's being afraid of not being able to leave it. And she said, well, you're always content to stay at home, but you've always known subconsciously that you were allowed to leave. And now that you have, you're under this lockdown, and you have all these people saying stay home, stay home, don't leave your house. You're subconsciously you're kind of feeling like a prisoner. So what I've been kind of doing to keep sane is, every now and then I'll just go take a walk around the block, and then I also got a doctor's note from her that I'll take, and I'll get in the car and I'll go for a drive just up and down Route 10 for a little bit, just get myself some fresh air. But I mean, other than that, my life hasn't really been impacted too terribly. I think I mentioned on the show, I work for a cybersecurity company, and I've worked remotely for the last year. So it's, as far as my working situation, I'm lucky enough to have that change not at all. But, and then as far as like my leisure time, can I just say how fucking lucky we are to be getting the game releases that we've been getting over the last couple months. I mean, my God, Animal Crossing, Final Fantasy, Persona 5. We got Xenoblade Chronicles coming out next month. A lot of meaty, high content game releases that, you can spend hours and hours and hours playing. So it was actually like the running joke when Animal Crossing came out was that Nintendo had seen the future and was had chosen the release date for Animal Crossing as a form of mass therapy for everybody. So I've been spending a lot of time playing New Horizons and building up my island and trying to play the stock market, which, my God, my turnip prices today are fucking terrible. It's kind of just a strange time. I've also been managing to do my best to try and keep up with my game collecting, usually by buying online. I've added a few games to my collection I found on eBay. I got myself a copy of Donkey Kong for the NES and Excitebike, two very egregious holes in my collection that need to be filled. Excuse me. And then I also... So I don't think I've mentioned this on the show, but I recently upgraded my Switch. I got I had the Model 1 and I got the Model 2, and I got it like 1 week or so before the lockdown. And that was like right under the wire because like as soon as the lockdown started, suddenly Switches are like trying to find a Switch is like trying to find wood from the true cross. And if you do find this, like $600. So I sold my old Switch. Then like 2 days after I did that, my sister hits me up on Facebook. It's like, hey Gonzo, do you still have your Switch? Because I'd like to buy it from you. Like, no, I just sold it. Why are you looking for a Switch? Yeah, can you find one for me? So for the last like 2 weeks, I've been trying to find a Switch for my sister because the poor thing did lose her job, and so she's stuck in her apartment with her roommate and going absolutely stir crazy. And I want to give a shout out to my guy, to my guy Matt from Rare Find It. He's a guy who's helped me find some stuff for my collection. This guy went above and beyond trying to find a Switch for me, but like every lead he came up dead until I finally stumbled across a listing on eBay. So like shout out to you, Matt, for going above and beyond. I'm sorry that deal didn't work out. But it's like, now I finally found one and I'm just waiting for it to get here, but the post office is being screwy. And then here's something that'll probably surprise you. I started dating. Met this girl on. Yeah, I know. That kind of irony of ironies. I can't get a date to save my life when things aren't under lockdown. But the minute we go under lockdown, I actually get a steady dating life. No, but I met this girl online, like just before the lockdown started, and we chatted for a bit, and we decided, we really want to spend some time together, but we can't go out because, hey, lockdown. So she's a gamer, so we've actually been having dates over Steam. So our first date, we met up and we played Ticket to Ride together, and then the week after that, we played Carcassonne, which is kind of kind of like Settlers of Catan, except with some differences. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to explain. Third week, we were supposed to play Uno, but we couldn't get the matchmaking to work, so we just played Ticket to Ride again. And then we're meeting up again this Friday to play something. It's her turn to pick this week. So that's something that I've actually talked to a lot of people who've been doing that. Who they're moving their social life online. You have people having watch parties on Netflix, or having family dinners over webcam, and it's really interesting to see what some people are doing here. So Mike, what about you? What have you been keeping sane during this whole thing?
This is no different than my everyday. One of the things that is different because I'm a disabled person, I don't get outside a lot to begin with, just due to the physical limitations of my body, such as it may be. It's hard to get out in my wheelchair on a good day. So when the lockdown was announced in mid-March, I was like, oh, well, this is going to suck. Because I just gotten my first kind of weigh-in for my weight loss surgery. And then my clinic closed down appointments, and they've been hosting virtual appointments, like checking in with my dietitian, my social worker, my nurse, etc., etc. And then I have a psychiatrist appointment coming up just to check in how I'm doing. And I'm handling the lockdown fine. Honestly, this is no different than my everyday. This is an extended winter for me. Winter is coming, Jon Snow, and I'm ready for it. Honestly, I'm fine. I mean, I spent a lot of my time on Reddit. I find I'm a lot more busy on there than I used to be. I'm actually a mod in the Harry Potter subreddit. I'm the prefect of Ravenclaw right now. I'm one of 2, which is pretty cool. I don't hang out on there as much as I used to, but I give out a lot of house points. I'm probably going to get back to that once my schedule frees up a little bit. I've been doing a lot of things for Twig since the end of March. I've really ramped up production with my co-host Alex, because you notice we syndicate Nerds of the Third Power on there on Fridays, but you'll notice I pick up a lot of interviews, reviews, and stuff like that. So I'm reconnecting with my roots as an interviewer. One of my college professors said that was one of my biggest strengths, is I know how to draw really good answers out of people. So I decided to mix my 2 loves of RPGs and interviews, and I've reached out to some people from the old World of Darkness. I talked with Phil Braccato, who did the Mage RPG, Mage the Awakening, and that's the RPG from the World of Darkness I knew nothing about. So I literally did an interview with him that was almost an hour long, and we talked about things, and I decided if I'm going to be in lockdown for God knows how long this is going to last, I'm going to be well-read, I'm going to be well-educated, and I'm going to intend to be the smartest guy in the room. So I've just used this opportunity to keep learning. I know some of the big things I got coming up. I'm going to talk with one of the guys who was pretty much the architect for the Star Wars Expanded Universe, like sometime next week. So that'll be really cool. But like before Disney stepped in and added all their additions, recanonizing and decanonizing things in the Star Wars Legends. So that's going to be pretty fun and interesting, because this guy was the preeminent Star Wars guy through the 2000s. And another thing I've been doing is I've been watching a lot of movies and TV with my wife. We typically pick a movie a day. She picks one, then I pick one, or we'll pick a TV show, go through that. We just celebrated Alien Day this past week, which was this past Sunday. So LV426, so the 26th of April. We watched Alien Covenant. That was a lot of fun. We watched The Predator the other night. That was ridiculously stupid and fun. It's got some problems from a certain perspective, but it is what it is, and that's a debate for a different day. But anyway, another thing I'm doing is I've been reading a lot of comic books, because I launched a new comic book podcast for Twig, which I think should be going live like this week or next. I started a book club. I started reading the Harry Potter books. I've never read them before. So I'm doing a book podcast between now and the end of the year, where I read through each Harry Potter book, once for comprehension, once to take notes, and then I'm going to rewatch the movie.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. You're the prefect of the Harry Potter subreddit, but you've never actually read the books.
The movies I know front to back. Which is kind of fascinating, because I realized they left a lot of stuff out. But one of the things I've been doing as well is I've talked about this. I think I've talked about this on the show before, but I'll talk about it very briefly. Is I wanted to see if there was a Harry Potter role-playing game, and I found out there's a hack for it called Wands and Wizards, which is a D&D 5th edition version of it. And I wanted to do something set in the 1980s called Neon Wands. So imagine going to Hogwarts, then sneaking off to go see the police or Billy Idol in London just after the defeat of Voldemort for the first time. And I picture enchanted Walkmans, people walking around with Cyndi Lauper hair. And I just think that's wonderful. So I've been using the quarantine to really get in touch with my creativity as well. Another thing I've been doing is I've been playing a lot of video games. As you guys know, I review a lot of games for Twig. I spent 150 hours plus playing Persona 5 Royal, which was fantastic. Another emotional experience and a different playthrough than one I've done before. Yet another game that leaves you emotionally changed if you let it. I played Resident Evil 3, the remake. Man, fuck that game. It was fun, but it ain't worth $60. And then I've been getting to reno my Nintendo Switch, and I've got a Switch story of my own. So my Nintendo Switch I got from Nintendo back in 2017, and I didn't really pay too much attention to the system until about the last year or two. And I noticed my Switch had a battery problem. It would rapidly drain. Literally, it would go from 100 to 0 in less than 5 to 10 minutes. So I was like, well, that's not good. And it would randomly shut off. So this problem I noticed just before quarantine, and I wasn't in a position to get a new one until recently. So I started following the Kotaku articles and everything, talking about scalper bots, buying them up on Amazon and whatnot. So literally, I started following Twitter hashtags to see where these things were in stock. So last week, I went on Best Buy, and I happened to be in the right place at the right time. The Twitter account said, hey guys, they're in stock at Best Buy, but you get a copy of Starlink Atlas, which is actually a fantastic game, and you should pick it up. So I paid like $400 in Canadian funds, got the system, got the game. Cool. My credit card decided to get a bank hold on it. Shit, it didn't go through. So I'm on the phone frantically on Best Buy for 5 hours. So I find out they reauthorized my card later. It went through. But for those 5 hours, I basically had to hold my breath and wait to see if things would get processed again. Thankfully, it did. Big shout out to Eric at Best Buy, who eventually did help me and put my mind at ease, but it was pure hell watching the stock deplete, knowing that I may have got a Switch. I may not have got a Switch because I didn't want a Switch Lite because I'm not a portable gamer, and you'd think I would be because I can just play it where I sit instead of hooking it up to the TV, but the TV is a lot bigger and it's just more comfortable for me. So did that. The really annoying part about the whole Switch thing is I actually saw a scalper bot in action. Didn't believe it till I saw it. I was on Amazon.ca, and the Switches happened to be in stock at like 10 o'clock at night. And the Twitter account posted that, hey guys, they're back in stock. Cool. I must have added and re-added this thing to my cart 20 times. And every time I did, it would kick out. It would kick out. It would kick out. And then after the 21st time, all stock is gone, and the reseller prices were $900 Canadian, and people were paying it.
You know, I think that happened to me, because that sounds like what happened when I went and bought my version 2 Switch. Was I would add it to my cart, and then it would keep kicking out, and then the listing would kind of vacillate, available to unavailable, and I think I just happened to get lucky. Yeah, the one I finally found for my sister, I literally just stumbled across on eBay, and it was like $380, which was and it was buy it now, which I was like that's insane considering that they're going for like $600 on Amazon.
Oh
so,
yeah,
that listing wasn't. But yeah, that listing had like literally just been posted. It wasn't even 20 minutes old. And I was like, no, this is mine. I need it.
One of the things I've been doing as public service announcement, Birdman, if I see you scalping on Facebook, I will report you because you're a profiteering asshole. Because like I see people on all these buy and sell Facebook groups, like I have a brand new Switch in hand, $600. Man, there better be something wrong with a family member if you're scalping at that price, because that's just wrong. Because there are some people I've read, and I believe their stories, they want them for their kids, or they're much like you, they want them to relieve social anxiety. They want to have fun. They're not there to make a profit. And, you know, just don't be a dickbag. Lastly, I guess the other thing I've been doing is just reading a lot of books I haven't had a chance to read before. Like I'm rereading some old roleplay material. I started reading Judge Dredd in the Worlds of 2000 AD. Fantastically supported world. Pretty cool stuff too. And then I've just been reconnecting with a lot of old friends about old movies and old television shows. So I think I've been handling social isolation relatively well. It sucks because my sister-in-law is a nurse practitioner, and she was one of the first people in the COVID-19 testing centers. So it was a lot of anxiety dealing with her, knowing she was right on the front lines and just kind of knowing a lot of the behind the scenes info and how things were going. So it was a lot of managing my social anxiety with that, but it also came from the knowledge. My sister is in essence a scientist. She's virtually a doctor. She knows what she's doing. I have to trust the process. And in Canada, things are getting better day by day. Like we're starting to flatten the curve. We're not reopening that border anytime soon. Don't come goddamn near us. and I'm hoping things will get better. I am hoping that as quarantine continues, I continue this routine of continually improving myself. I mean, I miss seeing my friend Alex. I miss seeing my friends Tristan and Lacey. But at the same time, if this is what it takes for things to get better, then I'm all for it. I've also gotten involved in some online advocacy too, which I won't go into the specifics about, but I've been getting involved in some social media campaigns for some things, and it's really powerful to get involved in something that could potentially affect thousands. And it's a really good feeling knowing you can redirect some energy you might have spent otherwise playing Nintendo towards something that could really generate a benefit for others. So I'm going to use the time that I have on my hands as positively as I possibly can.
Okay. Something else I've been doing, and Kat, you'll find this amusing. In my time in quarantine, I've started watching anime again.
That's great. What are you watching?
Because I have a Verve subscription that I've been kind of letting sit there. I'll every now and then I'll just because they have the old Nickelodeon cartoons, so I'll go on sometime and I'll fire up some Angry Beavers or some Hey Arnold, anytime I'm feeling nostalgic or something to listen to while I'm cooking dinner. But I was like, there's a whole bunch of anime on here, so let's see what's new. Let's see what's on there. So the series that I just finished watching Goblin Slayer, which I really liked.
Okay.
Reminded me a lot of the 2000s Garth Ennis Punisher run. So I've really enjoyed that. And then I've just been kind of flitting around trying to find something that really catches my eye. But the problem is because before Goblin Slayer, the last anime that I watched on the regular was Trigun.
Oh, jeez.
So that tells you what the gap is of my knowledge. So I'm from the time where Trigun, Full Metal Panic, and Haruhi Suzumiya were like the big thing. So there's a huge gap in my knowledge. So I just want to approach you, Kat, that if someone were looking for some anime to watch while they're in quarantine, what are some good shows to pick up?
Oh gosh.
With the disclaimer that I'm not going anywhere near One Piece or Bleach or any of those multi-hundred episode shows.
I'm always going to recommend My Hero Academia because it is one of those bigger shonen series that's actually really good. It doesn't really have a whole lot of notable... It's not full of filler episodes. It's not chock full of filler episodes. There's still some filler episodes. I'm really, really behind on it, but what I have seen has been really good. And they just had a movie out, so it's kind of, people are hyping it up right now, so it's a good time to get into it. Oh gosh, what is the name of that series? No, I have to look it up because I'm brain farting really hard.
I've also seen the first couple episodes of Goblin Slayer. That show is actually pretty badass. I need to finish it. I've been meaning to watch My Hero Academia as well because I know it's not huge. There are some other animes I enjoy, but I think if I mention them, Kat will punch the ever-living fuck out of me.
Really? Why is that?
I don't know. I'm fearful of even mentioning them around you because I think you'll hit me. All the way from St. Louis.
Yes.
Yeah, that is how much I fear you.
You should.
Exactly, a healthy fear.
Afraid of me. But tell what is it? I'm just
the anime I picked up because I really like the art style and the lore behind it. And here comes the hate mail. It's a series called High School DxD.
Oh yeah,
it's a harem anime, and I just thought the premise was really interesting. And although it's goofy as fuck, I'll totally open that right out of the gate. It's goofy as shit and ridiculous.
But I thought the service series.
It was, and I thought some of the ideas were really, really, really cool, but it is so not for everyone.
It's definitely. I've seen it and I enjoyed it, but it's definitely kind of like a turn your brain off anime.
Oh god, so. Yeah. I admit I'm sitting there drooling, and not for the. Oh my god, I sound like an idiot when I say that. Shit. Please edit that in post.
Hell no, that's staying right in there. Yeah. So we're disclaimer. High School DxD and Goblin Slayer, both series not for everybody. So not gonna blame you if it's not your cup of tea. Goblin Slayer in particular, like I said, reminds me of the Garth Ennis Punisher Max run from the 2000s. So if you want kind of an idea of the kind of stuff that goes on in Goblin Slayer, read that and then decide if that's gonna, be your, if that level of stuff is your cup of tea.
Kat,
but anyway, Kat.
Oh,
but anyway, Kat, you were saying?
Okay. I remembered what the name of the series is. It was a 2017 show called Recovery of an MMO Junkie. It is about a woman who quits her day job to just fuck off and play video games, to play MMOs. And she plays as a male character, and she gets this super big crush on this female character, who is actually like this dude that she kind of knows through somebody. And it's a super, super cute, like, romance and MMOs, and it's really, really, really cute, and it's a good dub, and everybody should check it out.
Sounds like I imagine Skyblaze's ears are burning right now, because that pretty much describes their life right now, playing Final Fantasy XIV.
Kat, there was an anime that I really liked. It came out like a year or two ago, and maybe you could tell me what it is, because I can't remember it for the life of me, but I remember it involved a luchador wrestler who got transported to another dimension, and he has like a talking cat or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
God, no, not a luchador. Because
it was really weird.
So every series nowadays is somebody gets transported into another world. It's the isekai thing. It's the new moe where everything that comes out now is isekai, and I find it really, really annoying. Because they're so samey, but I haven't actually watched a lot of them, so I really shouldn't complain about anything. But that sounds like... Okay, I'm going to Google it now, because now I'm interested in what is this luchador isekai show.
It was
also,
so weird.
Also, totally random question. When did anime titles get so goddamn long?
When isekai shows started
I'm looking at things like, no matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Is it wrong to pick up girls in dungeons? Are the people who write anime titles being paid by the word now?
I mean, those aren't even the worst that I've heard. Like,
no, there was someone that someone, because I asked the question on Facebook, and someone posted this one that, like, there were paragraphs to it. It was like a passage from the Bible.
Yeah, so like they get away with this kind of stuff because every single thing just gets... The Japanese have a habit of like cramming things down and shortening them. So you get like a big long name, and then they just put two syllables together, and that becomes like the common name of the show. But yeah, I really hate it. Like, I hate that that's what anime is right now. Or it's actually, there's so many more like manga that are that way, that are isekai. And there's like a manga company that I follow, and every single day is like, here's a volume 2 of this series coming out, and it's just got this increasingly ridiculous title to it. I'm like, please. Just
something we can say in one breath, please.
I mean, gone are the days of Naruto and Bleach, where it was one word, and it was super simple. Now you have all of these, like, I was reincarnated as a refrigerator, and now I'm carried around by an elf girl. Which is literally a show.
I'd fucking watch that. That's so weird and fucked up.
That's not the name of it, but that's the plot of it. Like, somebody gets reincarnated as a refrigerator, or not a refrigerator, like a vending machine or something like that. It's so strange. This shit gets so weird, guys. I don't get it. Am I too old for anime? Is this how I know I'm too old, when I can't keep up with the isekai?
This is no longer your world. These are no longer your people. It's time for you to board the gray ships.
Oh my God.
Sail off to the Undying Lands.
And the show that you were looking for, I believe, is Hataage Kemono Michi, Rise Up Animal Road. It has a guy with like a luchador looking cape and like animal mask, and this looks
it's weird, and like he like suplexes a princess, and I'm like, yep, sold. I'm gonna watch this.
Okay,
so goofy.
Yes, this is what this is. This is so strange. Anime is so weird, you guys. Like, sometimes I just need to like read on the internet for 5 minutes and remember, oh my God, I love anime. God, it's weird.
All right, so those are some anime that might be worth checking out if you're looking for something to do in quarantine. Let's talk about some games that might be worth playing in quarantine. And I'm gonna say if you're looking for some good local multiplayer, Duck Game is a shitload of fun. The elevator pitch is literally 3 words: ducks with guns, and that's the only way I can describe it. But it's a multiplayer kind of side-scrolling platform shooter, and it's really lightning. It's really easy to put a game together and play through really quick. Like each round takes like 30 seconds, because it's one-hit kills. But you use weapons as normal as a handgun to weapons as crazy as like the fucking Moonanite blaster from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, or the railgun from Aliens. So, it's an Adult Swim game. So, of course you expect the craziness, but that's available on the Switch eShop, and I believe it's also available on the PS4 and PC. So that's something if you're looking for some good local multiplayer. Birdman, what about you? What are some games that you recommend people play in quarantine?
Honestly, if you've got the time and the attention span, I can't recommend Persona 5 enough. It is literally probably in my top 5 games of all time right now. It's an emotional experience. It's a learning experience, and it'll kind of change how you view things. And it can be a depressing game at times, but it can also be a very uplifting game at times if you're willing to look at it that way. It's a game that challenges perceptions. It's a game that looks at relationships. And while it may not replace the social distancing things that you're missing right now, hanging out with your friends, having these social encounters in the game, it's no different than Animal Crossing. I mean, and then Persona 5, really, you can go hang out, play darts, play billiards, go do all sorts of other things, but growing a virtual relationship is still fun and engaging, and just exploring the emotional depth of these characters is fun. And I really had a fantastic time with this game. Like I said, it's very highly recommended. Another one that I hear a lot of people talking about, and you played it too, was the Final Fantasy VII remake. That's a good 50-hour experience. Right there. If you want to go for a completionist run, it's like 100 hours to do everything in it. Yeah, those would be. Another fun one would be Untitled Goose Game. It's so silly and so stupid that it's beautiful,
but kind of zen in its own way.
Yeah,
kind of meditative. Another one that's really good if you're looking for something kind of calm and meditative is like I mentioned, Animal Crossing. And it's real easy to find groups of people to play with and like visit each other's islands and trade turnip prices. Actually, a mutual friend of mine and Kat's, Punky, also is big into Animal Crossing. So we've been visiting each other's islands and helping each other build our stuff up and trading turnip prices. Other great games if you're looking for something that's kind of really meditative. Hyper Light Drifter, if you like Zelda-style games. Beautiful pixel art. It looks almost like another world from the 80s with its pixel art. And then, of course, if you're looking for something that you can really sink a lot of time to, you've got the obvious, you've got the usual offenders, Skyrim, The Witcher 3. I'm gonna, even though I loathe MMOs, I'm gonna speak for Skyblaze and recommend Final Fantasy 14 because God knows they're having a lot of fun with it. It's probably why they're not here right now. Anyway, Birdman, you had a couple more?
I'm trying to think of other things I've had a lot of fun playing recently. Quarantine games. I'm trying to think. Luigi's Mansion 3 was surprisingly amount of fun. I picked that up on the Switch really late last year, and I think that's a pretty solid game you can beat in like 15 hours or less, and it's a pretty fun experience. Anything you can play with your partner or your roommates, like Mario Kart's still fantastically fun on it. They just released Predator Hunting Grounds. I don't know if that's worth playing just yet, but it's one to keep a bit of an eye on. Maybe it's the same team that did the Friday the 13th game, Gun Media and Ilphonic.
I've seen some reviews. Let that one stay in the oven a little bit longer. It's not quite ready for prime time yet.
Yeah, I think once they add some more things to it, I think it has the potential to be really good. But we'll have to. Oh, one I'd really recommend because it's a great scary game and it is on sale right now. I don't know if it'll be by the time this record picks up, but it's worth getting anyway. Is Alien Isolation. Scary, fun. It's a fantastic use of the Alien IP. And like I said, Alien Day just passed. So if you want to go fight the Xenomorph against the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, I can't think of a better way to go do it.
Alrighty. Okay, and that's about all the time that we have for Nerd of the Third Power this week. So that's how we've been keeping sane, and we hope that all of you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, and of course, keeping your marbles, because God knows it's hard enough. It's hard enough to do that when you're stuck indoors, not able to go anywhere. So we hope you guys are all safe, healthy, and sane. And we will see you guys next week for Fools Who Ride, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for Nerd of the Third Power. Thank you as always for tuning in. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the cat.
I say stupid shit to embarrass myself.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Taka, play us out.